So we've talked about the steps you can take to attract the advocacy of influential sponsors, but let's turn back now to closing the sponsorship gap and starting to be someone who's impacting the culture around sponsorship. Sponsorship can become a virtuous circle. Sponsorship begets sponsorship. People who've been sponsored pay it forward. So people who have been sponsored are more likely themselves to turn around and sponsor someone else. People who've been sponsored are more engaged and committed as leaders and in their careers, and the people that they turn around and sponsor are also more engaged and committed. And diverse talent pays it forward by sponsoring diverse talent. So if you want to think about closing the sponsorship gap, think of it as being like dropping a pebble in a pond where the ripple effects can be quite far-reaching. And so one thing that we all can do to bring sponsorship out from behind closed doors, to close the sponsorship gap, and to start to build a culture of sponsorship that is transparent and unbiased and equitable, is to sponsor other people. So one action you can take is just to sponsor someone else. As Millette Granville has pointed out, a sponsor doesn't have to be an executive, right? But they must have influence. And yes, I think we all think of the gold standard of sponsorship as being when you promote someone or open up a role for them or advocate them into their next job. And that's certainly sponsorship on a grand scale. But sponsorship can take place in little moments as well. Think of it as micro-sponsorship, right? So you might speak up for someone who you feel is being overlooked, or amplify their great idea and let everyone know that that's where that idea came from. Or perhaps you hear of an opportunity for which a peer might be a great fit. Or it might be as simple in a meeting as saying, let her finish, or let him finish. And so sponsorship doesn't have to be the grand gesture. It can take place in micro-sponsorship moments. The thing I'll encourage you to pay attention to is, what's the scope of your influence? And are you sponsoring in a way that takes full advantage of the influence you have? You don't need to be a high-level executive. You just need to have influence. But we all have influence. So think about how you'll use yours to advocate for someone else, to drop the pebble in the pond, to start to create the ripple of a sponsorship culture.